What do you get when you get one of G.I. Joe's most despised writers and anime? You get No One Left to Fight, a story of regret, resentment, and growing older, one that asks, what does a fighter do when there's no one left to fight? This is a new miniseries from Dark Horse Comics written by Aubrey Citizen, the art and the cover art by Fico Ossio. Now you're probably wondering, Aubrey Citizen, that name sounds familiar. You probably uh, most likely know him from the fact that he got his Scarlet Strike Force series cancelled before it even started, and was only 2 issues long. That's the only amount of issues that eventually got released. Or from the fact that he said that if you weren't there at on 9/11 at the exact location where it happened, you have no right to mourn. So, as you can tell, he's a very loving figure. But ignoring all of that, let's see how, when he's not on G.I. Joe or anything to do with G.I. Joe, let's see what his writing is like. I mainly decided to pick this up because of the art from the promos and all of that. It looks interesting. I was a bit worried by the fact that it was Aubrey Citizen that was going to write it. But let's get into issue number 1. So we're introduced to Vale. Vale is going on a trip to relive his greatest hits. Vale is the hero of this world. He defeated someone called Gore Despo, and as such, he's regarded as this great hero. So he decides to take some old friends with him, Timor and Krista. Timor doesn't like Vale because Vale, as Timor says, is putting the moves on his wife Krista. Vale obviously still has lingering feelings for Krista. Krista still knows this, but is like, well, I've moved on. I'm with Timor. There's someone else. There's someone called Winder that actually likes you. Why don't you go hit it off with her? And we're just introduced to that family. A few other characters, like their kids. This crab lobster-looking monster guy called Fargan Six or Forgy, I think it was. But towards the end of the comic, Timor gets triggered by the fact that when his kids are trying to reenacting Vale and Timor's final fight against Gore Despo, no one wants to be the dad in the situation. That no one wants to pretend to be the dad. Pretend to be the dad in that moment. It's like, oh, I want to be Uncle Vale. Vale was the hero. He's cool, and no one wants to be dad. Dad sucks. And this sets off Timor. Given that given his feelings on Vale already, it was just building up, and he wants to fight him. So they decide to kind of spar in the backyard, but something goes wrong. So the story, I would rate this a 3 out of 5. This was average. This was a very average story. The whole story of regret, resentment, and growing old, you do see that with Vale, but it's only just briefly. It's only briefly mentioned. It does, and also with the fact that he still obviously has feelings for Krista, but she's moved on. She's with Timor, and also resentment from Timor's part. So in mainly spread out throughout this comic, those three themes of regret, resentment, and growing older, the Aubrey Citizen has got them to a T, but the story itself, this first issue, wasn't interesting. It was very average. And onto the art and the cover art, which were by Fico Ossio. 4 out of 5. This was the main headline, yeah, for me to pick this up. I really like the art and the coloring. It's so good. It's so amazing. Just wish it wasn't given to such an average story. This could have been something. This could have been been given to something much, much better. I really like the designs of each character. They're very distinct, despite the fact that they're distinct but all somewhat similar. Like almost every character just has one arm has to be armored or robotic, and that hardly any of them wear proper clothes. It's just I'm just gonna wear a jacket but no shirt, so I'm just showing off my chiseled abs and all that. So despite the fact the fashion trend is kind of similar, each character still has a distinct look, and so Fico Ossio really nailed it with that. But moving on from all of that, there's something I want to point out. In the solicits for this, it says it takes inspiration from the legendary Dragon Ball. I don't particularly see a lot of the inspirations, apart from the fact that Vale and Timur are obviously supposed to be Goku and Vegeta. But although Vegeta's from Dragon Ball Z, they don't say Dragon Ball Z, they just say Dragon Ball. I don't know if they mean Dragon Ball the first, the one that started all, or just Dragon Ball as a franchise. But yeah, it's very obvious that Vale and Timur are supposed to be the Goku and Vegeta of this series. Vale, kind of laid back, the hero of this world, the one that accomplished everything. Timur, the one who sees Vale as a rival, doesn't like him a lot. Even the fact, like, if you even if you ignore that, you can very clearly see that he's supposed to be the Vegeta in this situation. One of his moves is called the Blast Barrage. It sounds very similar to Vegeta's Gatling gun. Okay? Yeah, it's very obvious. So, but apart from that, I don't really see any, like, inspirations from Dragon Ball. If it's supposed to be Dragon Ball like the first series, like, you know, Goku's a kid, meets Bulma, trained by Master Roshi and all that, I don't see it. Because that series was a mix of, like, comedy and action and just being introduced to this whole new world. You're introduced to this whole new world, but you're only told about it. You don't really see a lot of it. Parts that were supposed to be comedic, I don't know if they were intended to, but it wasn't particularly funny. Action doesn't happen until, like, the end of this issue. So if it's taken inspiration from, like, the first Dragon Ball, it's failed. If it's taken inspiration from Dragon Ball as a whole, I can see its points, but I don't know. And also, like, I'm probably not going to continue reading this. This first issue wasn't particularly interesting and didn't warrant me wanting to continue this series, but I want to talk about the solicits. These solicits are so lazy and poor. Just like, here's the solicit for issue number 2. The comic you always wanted continues with the severe tutelage of Mistress Haga. Mastermind creators Aubrey Citizen and Fico Osio continue to explore their ambitious, fully realized world, carrying on the grand tradition of other Dark Horse creator-owned universes like Hellboy, Sin City, and Black Hammer. That tells me nothing of this issue. Nothing. Apart from the fact that this part is called the severe tutelage of Mistress Haga. This tells me nothing what to expect of this issue. Same with issue number 3. The comic you always wanted proudly presents the coming of the Hierophant. Blah, 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 blah. Invite you to immerse yourself in their fantastical world, meeting its iconic heroes and the old nemesis who refuses to remain in the past. The dreaded, enigmatic Hierophant. Hierophant? Yes. Apart from the fact that they're going to meet an old nemesis called the Hierophant, it tells me nothing about this issue. Whoever wrote these solicits couldn't even do their job. The whole point of a synopsis is to give you a brief summary of, like, what to expect in this issue, and it fails. It doesn't tell me what to expect. Like, is something going to happen? Or rocked by the defeat in the previous issue, yada yada yada, trains even more. Will he unlock an even greater power? Something like that. It doesn't even give me or any, like, potential buyer or reader that. The solicits for these are terrible. They're very poor solicits. So overall, for No One Left to Fight, which is funny because he does find someone to fight. Initially it's Timur, and it does seem like there's going to be other characters as well. So ironic. But for No One Left to Fight, I recommend that no one should pick this up. I did not find it interesting. It's not something I would recommend. Apart from the art in this and the cover are amazing, which is a shame given how average the story is so far with issue number 1. Like, honestly, like, Fico, like, if I ever get a comic running on something to do with martial arts, action, whatever, something Dragon Ball-esque, I would want you on that project, and I would guarantee it would be something that would be amazing if I ever get to work on something like that. But that is all for this review. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time.